Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Gazaway. You know, I think Jimmy does great work on everything, and this is no exception. He's listened to a lot of people, worked very hard, along with people from the governor's office and Senator Gilmore and the Attorney General's office. There's a lot in this bill that does a lot of good things. You know, I really think that some of the improvements we're making to specialty courts is going to make a huge difference in people's lives. I'd like to see how the rest of it plays out, but I'm optimistic that we can make some positive changes with some of the things in this bill. But I do want to talk about the biggest part of this bill, sort of the headline of this bill, which is the truth in sentencing part. And that really is longer sentences. I mean, I think we just have to be clear that what we're doing is extending sentences for a large number of people in our criminal justice system. And, you know, when I think about any bill, I think we all probably feel the same way. We think there's a problem that we need to solve, there's a solution that we need to solve it with, and then there's a cost. And we have to analyze all three of those pieces together. The problem, to me, that I see in Arkansas, that I think we talk about all the time, we all pretty much agree, is crime. Public safety. Crime is too high. Crime is a problem. It's stubborn. We need to get it down. We need to prevent and reduce crime. The solution that is being proposed here is longer sentences. And that is the big problem with this, because longer sentences does not effectively reduce crime. And I don't say that just offhand as something I think or as just what I philosophically believe. This is studied extensively. This has been reviewed. It's one of the biggest questions of our time. Do longer sentences, extending them, does that effectively reduce crime? And the answer that has come back over and over again is no. The Department of Justice published something, and it says, direct quote, increasing the severity of punishment does little to deter crime. And there's other things. There's a meta-analysis of 116 studies that came out just recently that looks at, it analyzes the analyses. The null effect of custodial compared with non-custodial sanctions is considered a criminological fact. Now, does that mean that we should have no prison? No, I don't think so. I think prison serves an important role. First of all, it's a punishment. You know, we do, as a society, want to punish people because that's appropriate. And we also have some benefits to taking them off the street, certainly. And there is probably a mild deterrent effect to sentences. But the problem, what we're doing here is taking moderate length sentences and severe length sentences and making them more severe. And the proof that that works is not there. And we talked about it in committee, and I asked for this proof, and the proof wasn't there because the proof doesn't exist. But there is a cost. So the third piece of the problem solution cost analysis is the cost. The cost is that the biggest cost is money. We are going to have to build a new prison in large part because of this bill. And I think that the estimate's somewhere around $500 million, and who knows if it's going to be more than that or not. And then there's ongoing costs. We have to house these prisoners. We have to provide health care for these prisoners. They become our responsibility, for better or worse, for much longer than they were going to be before this bill. If there was a payoff, if it was proven that this was going to reduce crime, I agree with Representative Gazaway. There's very little cost I wouldn't be willing to pay. I think it's probably the top priority of our state to make sure that we're ensuring and improving public safety. But this bill doesn't do that. I don't think that this bill, at least the truth in sentencing part, is actually going to reduce crime. The other parts might have a chance to make more of an impact. I do want to just briefly comment on a couple of other things that the representative mentioned and that the bill does, and then I'll get out of the well. It could be that there's a different goal here, that it's not to reduce crime. When Representative Gazaway was up here, he talked a lot about crimes committed by people who had formerly been incarcerated. Well, there are, of course, going to be people who do that, whether they do that after their sentence, on parole, or after parole. But the truth is, almost everybody who goes to prison in Arkansas, not to mention anywhere else, is going to get out at some point. And so the idea that the revolving door stops with this bill is false. People don't go to jail for life on every crime. We could do that. I wouldn't favor that, but that would be a way to stop the revolving door. That might be the only way to stop the revolving door. But as it stands, if they do 100% of their sentence, and it's 20 years or 30 years, and they go in at 20, they're still going to get out at 40 or 50, and they might again commit a horrible crime. So we are not solving that with this. What we are going to do is make prison a more dangerous place. You go in for, instead of 5, 7, 10 years, you're going in for 15, 20, 25 years. There is a fact of institutionalization. People become more habituated to the prison environment than they do the outside world. It's dangerous for staff. It's dangerous for other prisoners. And when they get out, they're going to be less able to rejoin the world and civilized society after having spent such a long time behind bars. And the other thing that's related to the danger in prisons is the earned release credits. So yes, you can earn with good behavior and work programs and things like that up to 15% release time for some crimes, none for other crimes. The motivation to participate in these programs, the motivation to behave, after you hit that 15% maximum, or for 100% crime, it's zero, then what's your motivation to behave well behind bars? I mean, you may be genuinely motivated to do it, and hopefully that's the case, but the incentive that exists in our current system is gone with this, and I think that's going to make prison a more dangerous place. There are a lot of things that we need to be doing to reduce crime. I think it's the most important thing we can do pretty much in this body, but I want to just read you, and this will be the last thing I say. These are the things that the evidence shows actually reduce crime. And many of them we have no control over. They just are broad demographic trends. Aging population reduces crime. Increased wages, increased employment, increased graduation rates, increased consumer confidence, increased police personnel, and changes in police strategies. There's a lot we can do on every single one of those issues. Not the aging population, but on most of those issues, there are things we can do. Those are the root causes of crime, and those are how we combat crime, particularly with respect to policing. I would love to see investment in that. That would reduce crime. I don't think this bill is going to effectively reduce crime. That's why I'm a no. Thank you.
Representative Collins has spoken against the bill.